Welcome, everybody. We are back with another conversation for marriage.
It's for grown folks.
So, I think this is conversation number 5.
I think so. That
We're
sounds
going to
about
call it
right.
number 5. The rest of everything is on our
YouTube page.
YouTube page. And so, if you're watching this via Facebook, it's on the YouTube page. All of the other ones.
So
They've been good.
subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe. Thank you to everybody who has given us feedback, who's tagged and had conversation and dialogue and asked questions about some of the other conversations that we've had. This is the whole point of this, is to share our experiences, some things that we've learned, some failures,
Absolutely.
in hopes that current relationships to be, would be of some benefit to them. So this is why we do this. We believe in transparency.
Absolutely.
What sometimes we believe in.
Truth.
We're going to talk about that today.
Vulnerability.
All of that.
Love.
Come on. Any more?
Partnership.
All right. So we do not believe in the men versus women debate that's all over social media. And so anything that we say to the men or to the women, it is not meant to clickbait you into engaging in the dilemma of the men are better than the women are better than the men. We need each other. Absolutely. And I think some of the problem that we're facing in our current relationships is that we have bought into the idea that one doesn't need the other.
Yeah, which is a lie.
So we ain't for it. But if you come here for that, you're at the wrong place. So today we're going to talk about the truth and liars.
Ooh.
Low self-esteem and communication.
Ooh. Y'all buckle up. Let me put my seatbelt on.
I was gonna put mine on. Gonna put mine on too.
Get ready.
So let's start here. Why do people lie?
I would like to say, which I'm the optimist in our relationship.
Come on, be optimistic.
That people lie because of fear. Fear of a person's response, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, all those things.
So most people that you have met or talked to, even you yourself, do you believe that most people are around here just lying willy-nilly or just habitual liars, or do you believe that there is a reason?
I have met some habitual liars, but listen, I don't feel like majority of people who are withholding information are doing so to hurt people.
I need to read this.
That's what I genuinely believe.
This is from the holistic psychologist on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. She said that withholding information that helps someone make an informed decision is also lying.
Y'all feel that little? That's why we got our seatbelt on.
It's got to air that out. So I agree. That's why I posed the question. I wanted to see if you felt the same way I did. I do know some people who just lie just for the sake of lying.
Exactly.
Bold-faced liars.
Yeah.
But most of the people that I have encountered, and even me myself, when I have lied, it has been because of the fear of the response of the person or persons that I am in front of.
Oh, something else though that I just thought about? Some people have held on to a lie for so long. This started off as, I don't want to be rejected or abandoned, and it has become truth to that person. Not that it is a truth, but it has become truth to that person. Like they have adopted it as, no, this is what really happened, because I don't want to acknowledge the truth of what happened.
Now, when we're talking about lying, the conversation that I love to have, and I think that a lot of people would benefit from, because I know this is something that I dealt with for years in my life, adulthood and childhood, is the subject of shame.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I believe that if you are going to embrace the truth, tell the truth, share the truth, that the new identity or the new belief system has to be stronger than the lie.
Yeah.
So if I am lying to you, and you find out that I am lying to you or told you a lie in a particular subject, in order for me to embrace the fact that I lied, I have to have another identity that is stronger than I am a liar.
Yeah, that's true.
Which means that I'm going to have to adopt a greater identity.
Right.
So,
Or disassociate yourself from the identity that you are, the mistake that you made.
so lying is well, let's say like this: the truth is so important in our relationships because when we feel like we can't talk or be heard, then we do not have anything.
Right.
The relationship ceases to progress or grow when there is a blockage in communication.
Absolutely. And lies erode communication. They
And
literally,
trust.
yeah, they eat the foundation of a relationship up.
So if you don't trust me, what?
We can't be in relationship long.
Or
Or we can lie to each other every
Right.
day and stay in a toxic
you
relationship
keep sexing.
and keep sexing. But the problem with that is then that becomes a habitual pattern that is then taught to the next generation.
So we gotta, this is basic. These are fundamentals.
Right.
You have to love the truth,
Yeah.
want the truth.
Mm-hmm.
I have to love the truth and want the truth.
Even if I'm nervous, even if past traumas are trying to convince me otherwise, I have to fall in love with the truth to the point that those things won't hinder me from walking in what is true.
Now, most people who are watching this, usually there is somebody who is ready than before the other person.
This is also true.
And that can be frustrating because the person who is ready to divulge the truth, to speak the truth, to embrace the truth, to acknowledge the truth, is frustrated because the other person is not there for various reasons.
Right.
Now that's a doozy because
it is. But let me say this. Okay, so say you're ready to deal with the truth before I'm ready to deal with the truth. If you remember all the things that you had to do to walk away from shame, to live in truth, that should give you a level of grace and mercy for me to walk me through it as well.
So I don't remember if we said this last time. Bishop said something to me regarding relationships that I thought was extremely profound. He said that living in a state of toleration with the person that you're with is dangerous and it is short-lived. We should live in a place of love with the other person.
Absolutely.
Because if I tolerate you, the more I tolerate you, it's only going to compound. So,
and you diminish in that person's eyes the longer they have to tolerate you. So your value, your self-worth, your contribution to the relationship, you just keep proving to that person why they don't need you.
So when we got married, she says that we dated for 2 months and we ain't gonna do it. I say we dated for 3 months.
We're gonna let you guys do the math. We started dating, which back then we did not even title it as that. We just told people that we were talking, and then we got married on June 2nd. Comment what you think.
Did you get the first date? What was the first date?
April.
We agree to disagree. So we did postmarital counseling.
Yeah.
We didn't do a lot of premarital counseling.
I think we did like one session before.
Okay.
But then we did like 3 months after.
So the day we got married.
Yes.
Bishop instructed us before we said I do, took our vows, to go into the office and to share anything that we each thought that the other person should know that would deter, that would cause hesitation, that would potentially destroy her trust in me or my trust in her. And he gave us as long as we needed. So we go into the room. I can't remember. Let's see. I think you already knew I was a hoe. Did you already?
I knew, but not because you told me. I knew because I discerned it.
But I don't remember what I told you in the office. I remember what you told me. Do you remember what I told you?
I think I was so anxious about it that I don't remember. Like, I remember us sitting in the chair and staring at each other for a moment before anybody even said anything. And I was like, oh, Lord, this is either going to be really good or really bad.
And remember, this is 16 years ago. So we were in our early 20s.
Yeah, I was 21 now.
Yeah, and so I was my self-awareness.
Yeah.
I think I told you all that I knew that was the truth about my history. But there are some things that I found out, after that I have, later we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
You've shared with me, I've shared with you, but I
Absolutely.
gave you all of what I knew at that point that would potentially possibly be
Absolutely.
a deal breaker.
Yeah.
But you said something to me that we were talking earlier that came up. We
Yeah.
were talking about being afraid of telling the other person
Yes.
and getting naked.
Yes.
If you are going to be married and it is going to have any level of success, you must get naked.
Yeah.
And
not just in the bedroom. We're
Yeah,
talking
right.
about emotionally, vulnerably.
Well, both of them.
Well, both, but right now we're talking about like you have to be willing to be vulnerable with that person and be honest with them. That's what we mean.
And listen, you may tell. Oh, I'll go with this story. Okay. So we're in the office.
Yeah.
I say whatever I say. I was promiscuous and dated how many for women and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
And then tell me what you told me. And we're going to talk about
why?
Yeah.
Or just what I told you?
All you want to share.
Okay, so when it was my turn, y'all, I was sweating on the inside, but I know how to look like a cool cucumber, okay?
I thought you was a G.
So he was looking at me like, oh, I already know she got it all together, but I'm about to tell mine. And I was thinking like, ooh, he just don't even know. Okay, so for me, what was really important to share with him before we got married is my history. So I was sexually abused when I was a smaller child, and for me, I knew that there were still certain triggers for me. And I said, okay, if I'm going to marry this man and I'm going to do what God is asking me to do, I want him to know my background. So if I tense up or if I make a face or if he feels like I'm pulling back, he won't take it as personal rejection, but he'll know my history. So when I told him, he kind of looked shocked and I was like, oh, Lord. Maybe he don't want to marry me no more, y'all. But for me, I did not want to enter into a marriage without sharing that information because I do know for some people it is overwhelming. And I wanted him to have the opportunity before we said I do to make an informed decision on if he was able to walk with me through those things as I gained healing.
So you said it, you told me. Mm-hmm. What you remember do you remember what my response was after you said that, or did you?
Okay, so he was like so calm that it made me more nervous because I was like, either he's a psychopath or he like really good with it. So I was just kind of like, I kind of let it breathe for a second. I was like, that is a lot to take in. You know, I went into details, so he was clear on the whole situation. And I was like, so are you okay with it? And he was like, yeah, it wasn't your fault. You know, like life happens. I still love you. I still want to proceed. And I was like, oh. Now I didn't do that. I was still staying cool as a cucumber, y'all. You know, I was 21, so I had to keep my face together.
21 savage.
Okay. But on the inside, I was like, oh, thank God.
That meant what to you that I was accepting and understanding of your
It gave history. Me a feeling of security and safety in that moment. Because it wasn't something that I had shared with people that I had dated prior to you. But to me, marriage was different than just dating. So I felt like you deserved that information. And so for me, it was a lesson that I carry even with me now, that although it may be really hard to share a truth or feel like, you know, intimidating to share a truth, it's still worth it. Because in that moment, I felt more attached to you than I did before we had that conversation, because I was able to share something that was really dark and you didn't judge me for it.
And to your point, mm-hmm. if there is a couple that is in relationship mm-hmm. and either person feels like they cannot express or verbalize or articulate or reveal or disclose mm-hmm. what the truth is, right. It is a prison.
Absolutely.
It is a prison if I can't share. This is the whole, when we say marriages for grown folks, this is a part of what we mean. Mm-hmm. If I have kids with you,
yes.
If we making love, if we bumping uglies, if we knocking boots, if we have mortgage in each other,
right.
like each other, if we are
doing life,
living together, if I can't get naked with anybody,
right.
Surely I should be able to get naked emotionally with the person that I'm with. Yeah. That should be the goal.
Yeah.
That should be the goal. Mm-hmm. outside of acquiring property, acquiring new vehicles and making babies and traveling and stamping your passport and doing all of the things that come with being in a partnership with someone, can I feel safe with you?
Yeah.
And if the answer is no, then that is where the work should start, and that is where the work should continue until the both of you are to a place where you say, I can get naked in front of you, and you can get naked in front of me. Now, let me say this.
Okay.
A large problem that I see with relationships, and we have had this large problem as well and had to work through it, and if it comes up again, we work through it again, is if I feel like you are taking something or took something that I revealed or divulged to you about something that is my truth. I hate saying my truth, but my truth.
Yeah.
You might lose that person. If you watch the episode that we did in the car, we talked about this a little bit there. I might lose you if I would have at any point in time in our relationship taken that information that you revealed to me about your history and used it to weaponize you and used it against you.
Yeah.
That is a scar that a lot of relationships never recover from. And so I hear women and men say, he doesn't talk to me, she doesn't talk to me. And when we get down into the nitty gritty and investigate why said person is not talking to you or won't communicate with you or won't be honest with you, it is because usually one person flips out.
Yeah.
So now let me say this about safety. I am a protector, and if I have something that I need to share with you that is going to cause you, let's say I tell you in 1999, I was going to say I kissed. I don't know if I can say let's say,
Please don't.
let's say I beat somebody out till they blacked out.
Okay.
Let's say I just went to town and I don't know if they made it or not. I left.
Okay.
And I revealed that to you, and you use that against me and weaponize that information that I share with you. Oh, you gonna beat me out too?
Yeah.
Then you may never get me to be vulnerable with you ever again.
Yeah.
So when people tell you where they've been, now the reason why I responded the way I did is because I consider myself to have shame range.
Okay.
Meaning that sexuality, the human experience regarding sexuality, there are just some subjects that I just understand well. And I've had friends and I've walked with friends through similar experiences. And so it just didn't shake me. I wanted her to know I got grace for you. Now, I may not know all of what will entail that history, but I wanted her to know I'm down like 4 flats on the Cadillac. It doesn't shape the way that I see you negatively.
Yeah.
I was so glad that she felt that she trusted me enough to share that. And so because I love you, I wanted to make sure that was protected, because I know that if I want you to continue to open up, then I have to make sure that you feel safe, and vice versa.
Absolutely.
And so I think that when we lose the confidence in our relationship and the communication in our relationship is because one or both parties don't feel safe.
I agree.
So give me an example, or give those who are watching this an example of how can you create an environment to make that other person feel safe?
Well, I think, first of all, just telling them, like, I understand that there may be some truths that are hard to accept, but I want us to have a safe space to be able to share those things. And I mean, like, me and you have even had conversations where I'd be like, okay, y'all, I'm a little nervous. And I'll tell them, I'll say, hey, I'm feeling nervous about this, but I still feel like you need to know and you deserve to know this. So he already knows, like, even though he may feel something about it, his response is going to be sensitive to the fact that I started the conversation off by saying, hey, I'm nervous.
Oh, that's good.
But this is my reality.
So you're saying we got to do reflective listening. So this will be an example of reflective listening, which is another major blockage to communication. If you just say what you said. Reflective listening would be, okay, what I hear you saying is that if you're going to reveal something that could be harmful or could make me anxiety, cause me anxiety, you're going to preface the conversation by saying, hey, this is making me nervous. This might, I feel uncomfortable about this. I don't know how you're going to respond. I don't know how you're going to react, but I want to set you up to let you know that the reason why I'm revealing this is for the betterment of our relationship, for truth purposes. I'm not your enemy. You're not my enemy. So when I say this, do not fight the tendency to jump on the defense. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And also, like, with me saying that ahead of time, if I'm like squirmish while I'm talking, or if I'm like drifting instead of keeping eye contact, you're not like, okay, well, are you really telling me the whole story? Exactly. Those thoughts no longer exist because I've already started the conversation off by letting my husband know, hey, y'all, I'm a little nervous, but I want to be honest, and we have a safe space to do that in. So I'm about to just leap out there, but I'm nervous. So you got to remember I'm nervous, and but to me, anytime I start a conversation with you like that, you've always been very receptive to it. I feel like I'm the freak out person.
I freak out. I just freak out on the inside. I think that we have to remember both parties have a history.
Absolutely.
Before you met me, and before I met you, we had separate histories that had nothing to do with each other.
Absolutely.
We come from two completely different cultures, two completely different schools of thought when it comes to how we were raised and in the environment that we were raised in. And so going back to have that conversation, we've had that conversation. We still will do it to this day, talk about the differences. And so if I'm standing on this side of the couch and you sitting on this side of the couch and I draw a 6, on my side it looks like a 6, but on your side it looks like a 9. It's a 9. So we argue for 4 years about it's a 6, it's a 9, it's a 6, it's a 9, until one person said, let me come over to your side of the couch and see it from your viewpoint. When I can come over to her side or she comes over to my side, then we look at it together and say, oh, wow, it is a 6 or it is a 9. But when we are locked in our position and we are hell bent on, no, you're a liar, and you're just a liar because you just woke up this morning wanting to lie, instead of hearing. And I don't know if a lot of us have taken the time to not only hear each other's story, but understand each other's story.
Ooh, that's good.
Because I could have known that you grew up in poverty. If I know that you grew up in poverty, but I don't understand and take the time to investigate, what I'll find out is that in the majority of households that are impoverished, sexual immorality and perversion is second nature in impoverished communities. So if 5 uncles are sleeping in the same living room and there's alcoholism, then there's a tendency for perversion. So just because I know where an individual came from doesn't mean I understand the complexities of what comes with that. So when you get anxious, I bite my nails. She didn't understand why I bite my nails until I explained it to her.
It's like, why are you chewing on yourself?
You have little nervous things that you don't want to give all your secrets away, but you have little nervous things that she'll twiddle her toes inside her shoes. So her knowing why I do what I do and me knowing why she does what she does, when there's a scenario or an argument or an event that arises and one of us start doing the thing that is our coping mechanism for where we've been, it's not automatically attributed to maliciousness and you did it on purpose because I know your story.
It's a signal to me whenever I see you start chewing. Okay, something's on his mind, he's processing, something's bothering him.
I'm good at it too.
So I normally will give him space to kind of work through it, and then I'll say, are you okay? You want to talk about it?
And sometimes I may say, oh, it's all right, it's all good. Now, if she didn't know my story, she would say, well, you lied. And we might get stuck there. There are couples that can get stuck there for 5 weeks.
Can I give a sidebar to all the women? This is just a little nugget, okay? Take
Help the
this one for
women.
free.
I want to hear what you gonna say.
If a man tells you he's fine, it doesn't mean that everything in life is fine. It means that he's fine with processing through that on his own in that moment. So the wisdom would be to just follow up with that and say, if you want to talk, I'm available. Oh my God.
If your man, can I also help them?
Yeah, come on.
If your man is a processor,
Mm-hmm.
what will not help him process and what will not help him see your value and invite you into whatever thought process is going on with him is you raising hell about it.
Don't bust the door in. Just offer. But okay, let me say this. Let me come to the women's aid for a moment.
Now you're gonna help. Okay. Now you just busting.
Listen. We were created to be a helpmeet, but you have to find out what type of help your spouse needs. Every man does not need the same type of assistance. So you can't be like, well, my sister always does this and it works. Two completely different people. So don't frame your relationship around what you have seen other people do. You have to frame your relationship around you and your spouse. So what I'm telling you is a nugget, but it's coming from a perspective of, I know my husband is a processor, so he needs that time to download, to chew his thoughts. But what I have found to be successful is offering my help if he says he doesn't want it. I'm not busting the door down. I used to, y'all. It wasn't working. So I give him space to process. And when he finishes, because I've created a safe space, he normally will come back.
Now, for those of you who are married to processors, whether you are the man or the woman in the relationship, what you don't want a processor to do is to word vomit before they're ready to, or have the words to put with what they're feeling. Because if you force someone who has not yet, for whatever reason, processed through what they are feeling or thinking, and you demand that they give you a right now answer, and it's not cooked, you're probably gonna get your feelings hurt. And so sometimes when I'm processing, I'll be mad as hell. I just be fuming on the inside. And for me, I think we talked about it on the last episode. If I talk about it in the moment, it intensifies, and it may not even be her, but you might catch a level hook.
Not literally, y'all. Yeah, so, it's sad you got to say that kind of stuff online, but listen.
So giving that processor time is key. Now, a rule of thumb for all of the relationships, and this was something that we had to learn in the moment, in real time, and over the years. If I tell her I need a moment, then what I used to do is never come back to it.
Yeah, he guilty. He was guilty.
Really all that. So what the rule we established is you have 3 hours. You have a day. You have 24 hours to set a time frame on. Okay, if you're not ready to talk about it now, and this is something that may be bothering her or something that needs to be discussed, I'll give you a moment to cool down or to process. But you got to agree to come back to this conversation, because just because you're a processor and you need time to think, don't mean that we're not going to have this conversation. So
that's when we are having issues, or when we need to come to a decision. If he comes home and he's like frustrated from his day at work and needs to process, that's not something he got to talk to me about. He might want to talk to his best friend about it. He may want to talk to his spiritual father about it. And I'm not going to take that personally because he wants to talk to someone else about it. I'm not the only relationship he's in.
That's another. Okay, this is the last point.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
But you segue into the last point, which is low self-esteem.
Yeah.
If my esteem is low and you are my world, you are the sun rises and sets on you, and I have developed no other relationships outside of this one. If I tell you something and it disturbs you, or it concerns you, or it worries you, or it causes you anxiety, if I'm not secure in my esteem, then I'm going to say, we're not going to talk about that anymore. I'm going to bury it. But it doesn't mean that what I'm thinking or what I'm feeling is not there.
Right. Or valid.
And so if my esteem is low, I'm going to base the truth off of your reaction.
Ooh.
Now tell us why that is dangerous.
Well, it's dangerous for a couple of reasons, guys. First of all, that's idolatry. So hopefully no one is living in that space.
There's a lot of people living in that space. Space, garage, trunk, U-Haul. There's a whole lot of people in that space.
Your spouse, listen, everybody who knows me, they know I love John Riles. But John Riles is not on a pedestal in my life. Like, I love him. I will care for him. Listen, Bonnie and Clyde all day long.
I got knocked off some years ago.
You did.
Before you're good.
Yeah, the Lord helps me real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
But here is the thing, right? So if you determine me walking in truth, that's just too much power. It's just too much power. And then let's talk about low self-esteem for a second. Let's just lean right there. Okay. It is okay to have low self-esteem. It is not okay to stay there, though.
See, we got, whoa, you're going too fast. They really want say it one more time.
It is okay if you find out that you have low self-esteem. What is not okay is for you to stay in that space and expect everyone around you to adjust to you having low self-esteem.
Violence.
Low self-esteem is something that can be corrected. Low self-esteem is a place that you really don't want to live your whole life. Low self-esteem robs people of so many things: friendships, peace, joy, life. All of those things you lose by living in low self-esteem, because low self-esteem drains the people around you and it makes them not want to deal with you. And that's a harsh reality, especially for someone with low self-esteem. But it's the truth. And we're talking about the truth today because these are the things that will kill a relationship. If you're in a relationship, and it doesn't matter if it's the man or the woman that deals with low self-esteem, if I'm constantly having to walk on eggshells around my husband because he has low self-esteem and he won't do anything about it, then we really don't have a relationship. We have a situationship. Until one day I can't take it anymore and I explode. Or I walk away. Because see, some people are verbal about, okay, I'm not taking it no more. You got this much time to fix it. Other people set a timer in their head that they ain't told they made about. All right, you got 2 years.
Unexpressed.
Okay, to get this behavior together. And if you don't get it together, I got to go on with life. Now, they haven't verbally said that because they don't feel like you can handle that because you got low self-esteem. But when that 2-year mark hit and they pack their bag and leave, you devastated.
What all the trash bags for?
Okay.
What? All your stuff in boxes.
Why is it a for sale sign in our yard? Why are we getting divorced? They're blindsided. But they're blindsided because they refuse to do the work to not live in that place.
So the truth is foundational.
Absolutely.
If the relationship is on the rocks, if I am here, but I don't want to be here, but the sex is good, or I am here solely for the kids right now, that is the current truth.
Right.
And we have sat with ourselves. I always want to start with us first. We have done it. We have been guilty of it for 1,000 times, and we have sat with relationships that have made this mistake 1,000 times over, and that is not expressing and dealing with what the truth is.
Right. False peace kills relationships.
We've counseled with couples and us ourselves have sat with people to try to help us, and neither one of us were ready to deal with the foundation of the truth. And so if the truth is not revealed, if it's not discussed, I'm talking about the ugly truth. I think you fat, and that's why I don't want to perform with you, because you didn't blew up like the World Trade. Then that's the truth. That's the truth. If I love you, but I'm gonna stay for 5 more years until the kids graduate, that's just the truth. And we can't.
If I'm only in this relationship for what I can get out of the relationship.
Violence.
But it's the truth.
It's still violence.
In some relationships, that's the truth. If you have an agreement with the person you're in relationship with, be honest. I'm not in love with you. I'm in love with what you offer me. That's the truth.
Ooh,
But listen, this is what is disheartening whenever we are talking to people who are in relationships, to see someone bleed unnecessarily because you refuse to own what your truth is. That's just low. That's a
right.
level of toxicity that shouldn't even exist.
Let me say this about the person that is the lover
Yeah.
in the relationship. What do I mean by the lover? There is sometimes it's both parties,
Yeah.
but usually there is one person who loves more than the other. Or we talked about in the last episode,
Yeah.
there's one person that might have the gift of love,
Absolutely.
which they have this overwhelming capacity through the gift of God to love. They have a capacity, they have a range. This is the problem that we have, and that is a problem in a lot of relationships, is that there is one person who is the lover that says, listen, I have grace, I have capacity, I have range. If you tell me what the truth is, we can work through it.
Yeah.
There is nothing that you can tell me that you have done, want to do, have been, want to be, that we can't come to some kind of agreement, or I can tell you, no, that's my limit. I can't.
Yeah.
The problem is when the person who is steeped in shame and in low self-esteem is afforded the opportunity to tell the truth, and they know that the person who they're standing in front of or sitting with has capacity, and they're saying to you, I'm ready for you to tell me what it is, and you take that opportunity to lie. Now that's some bull. That's some bull on top of what you said.
You chose violence right there.
I did. I chose violence on purpose.
That is toxic behavior, though. Very toxic.
And so that is a killer.
It is.
It is not that that person doesn't love you. It's not that that person is not ready to work through it with you. But liars, that you are destroying the very fibers of that person's trust, faith in you. And people, like you said, people just don't want to. And so that is a real. There are relationships that exist right now that are in a gridlock because there's one person saying, if they would just be honest, and that's really why a lover, if they have to pull the trigger to leave somebody that they're with, Tina Turner said, "What's love got to do with it?" And so, what really will make a person pull the trigger, they'll tell you, it's not that I couldn't handle it, is that the joker wouldn't stop lying. She wouldn't stop lying. He wouldn't stop.
Okay, I just gotta say this.
You gotta say it.
A person who just continues to walk in that, like, not somebody who made a mistake or, withheld, and then they were made aware and they were like, no, I totally own that. Somebody who is habitually lying, that is really a form of abuse.
Yeah.
They are abusing their partner, especially if their partner is creating a safe place for them to just be vulnerable and honest, and they still continue to lie, and they're aware that I'm lying and that this is not the truth. That's a form of abuse.
Now, when you find out that you are being abused, if your esteem is low and that person is a drug to you, you will continue to
tolerate it,
submit yourself to that, and tolerate that in the name of whatever you have addicted yourself to, if they whatever. But if your esteem is strong and you are clear about your esteem and your framework, you will tell that person, you ain't got that many, I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of having a secure esteem. That is the beauty of the truth, is because you can't be manipulated. The wool can't be pulled over your eyes. And so marriage, it is for grown folks. This will grow you. This has grown us.
Absolutely.
This continues to grow us and challenge us. And it shines and it brings to the light all of the things that need improvement. There are some things that I did not know about myself. There are some things that you didn't know about yourself until we were forced to see it, because someone else brought it up to us. No, that can't be. So it may take some time for you to
swallow and digest what is true. It will take some time, y'all, when you've been doing something for so long. But you have to at least acknowledge what is true if the relationship's going to be successful.
And love can absorb it.
Absolutely.
Love can absorb it. The beauty about a relationship. What'd you say?
Love covers a multitude of sins and faults.
Love can cover it. And the beauty about naked marriage is that
so much freedom in it.
I know you raggedy and you know I'm raggedy, and we just gonna do it together.
I'm not gonna say we're gonna be raggedy together, but we're gonna have grace and mercy for each other as we grow and develop.
That's all I'm saying. So work through this.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time and money and resources and read books and go into conferences and listen to a bunch of YouTubes and podcasts.
Yeah.
If the goal is not to
be better,
deal with the truth and be better.
Absolutely.
Marriage is for who?
It's for grown folks, y'all.
Peace.